You are tuning in to It's Rainmaking Time. Amazing breakthroughs, conversations, and discoveries. I'm Kim Greenhouse, and I'm here to tell you this is a commentary about something very different than I thought I would be talking about. I originally went to talk about how AI, artificial intelligence, will impact humankind, planet Earth, and what we need to know about it. But as I've been reading the book, Scary Smart, The Future of Artificial Intelligence and How You Can Save Our World by Mo Gawdat, Gawdat, the former chief business officer at Google and best-selling author of Solve for Happy. Let's see, how many pages into this? I'm halfway through it. I am so stunned at how brilliantly he lays it out, all the different ways that AI and general AI, these language machines, what could actually happen to humankind. It is shocking. It is concerning. And it's one thing to use ChatGPT as a tool to help you figure some things out, to help you with your writing, to compare and contrast things, and to use that in Mid-Journey to help you with imaging, okay? But it's a whole other thing to really understand the inner workings of not only where artificial intelligence has been, but really how far along it is today and what it used to be able to do 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and what's happening now. In my heart of hearts, while most of us are very prone to being pulled in and influenced blindly by people in high places, I'm going to suggest that if you have a commitment to learn what artificial intelligence is, to understand the full breadth and scope of it, pick up Scary Smart by Mo Gawdat. That's all I can tell you. So on behalf of me being halfway through his book, the details of which need to be fleshed out and discussed, I am postponing the commentary on how AI will impact humankind and the planet and what we need to know about it, because I'm going to call in some people to interview over the summer, somewhere between the mid and the late summer of this year. I want more time with this to do a proper job with it. And the other thing I want to say to you, and then I want to go to the next subject, is to tell you that there are many people in high places that are advocating, pushing, and trying to indoctrinate others to be ready for, to accept how AI will merge with human biology. Okay? And that it's here, and what are we going to do about it? And we should accept it, and we should run with it, and how exciting it is, and all these things are going to be cured and all these cures, and there's huge hype about this. And I'm suggesting, in the meantime, that you stay very clear that unless you're giving permission to have artificial intelligence infused into your own biology, that you say no. No. And if you're not giving permission, artificial intelligence has no right to be on the inside of your body. On a conscious level, you may already have artificial intelligence in your body without your permission, without regard to how you feel, without regard to what you think. And in some cases, it is going on around the world. People aren't even being asked about it. And that's why we do have to pay attention to what kind of materials and substances we put in our body, no matter what it is. Whether it's a milkshake, or whether it's an injection, or whether it's a surgery or surgical procedure, or whether you're putting in stem cells. For example, I had stem cells that were taken from my bone marrow and my body fat, mixed together, centrifuged, and injected back into my knees. I tore my right meniscus terribly in 2018. And I had some exosomes put in there. Now, I didn't know what I know today, but I will tell you that we're going to have to be very vigilant. What is in what? What is something sourced from? Where do they get it? So let me give you an example. In the United States, when you get stem cell, any type of stem cell procedure, you're getting it from your own body. You're not getting it and not allowed to get it from a placenta. Now, the distinction, this is an example where the devil's in the details, and the miracle, the miraculous, incredible stuff is also in the details. Let us suppose that getting a placental injections of stem cells gives a person like me with a torn meniscus an 85 to 95% complete restoration, complete renewal, a rebuilding of what was torn and what was injured. Now, in the days before the year 2020, maybe you could have gone ahead and had that kind of stem cell work. But after the year 2020, a totally different kind of injection was being stressed, advocated, and promoted as a way to prevent and or heal COVID-19. So let us suppose that we find out 2 years later that people who got those injections got many other things in the material side of this, didn't know it at the time, thought they were doing the right thing. They came down with whatever this thing is. And now the question is, will you allow yourself to be injected with a placental stem cells if the mother was given these injections, but really installing a new digital operating system in her body that would produce spike proteins, that would produce all kinds of things, nanomaterials, GMO materials that were already articulated as being in these injections. When you have the stem cells injected from that placenta, you're being injected with whatever that is as well. The mother was injected. It's in the stem cells. And now you have the introduction of a massive proliferation of something so contaminating to human biology and altering it at a DNA level and altering the human immune system. These are things that the head of these injection companies spoke very openly about, kind of boasting about it. So we're now at a time where we have these great potential advances, but we have something that's being introduced into human biology that's altering the entire nature of it. This is not politics. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking human health and wellness. Even people that have written best-selling books never dealt with what I'm talking to you about. Never asked the question, never discussed it, never put it in the book, and still aren't dealing with it. People I admire very much on a lot of levels. This is why it's so important for all of us not to idolize people. Pay attention to the details of what's being introduced. Let me give you another example, and then I'm going to tell you some really cool things. Let's take an example of the election systems in the United States. Again, this is not a political statement. I'm talking to you now about systems. All right. Let us suppose that, you want free, fair elections, you want honest elections, you want real elections. Okay. So if that's true, completely independent of what political side you vote on, you vote from, or that you're aligned with, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. If what you're about in terms of being attuned is you want real elections and that you're not okay with selections, if you're aligned with real elections because you honor the process, you honor democracy, you want the people to have their say, then you will not stand for the absence of full transparency and a transparent chain of custody. If you don't have a transparent chain of custody, ladies and gentlemen, you have a selection and not an election. It doesn't matter whether it's this or that or how people, however they're voting. If there's no transparent chain of custody, you have no real election. So when we get into the details, there's a structural expression of what a transparent chain of custody is and how it works. And therefore, not only the devil's in the details, but the life-enhancing honesty, the integrity lives in a process and also in protocols. So I want you to know that the devil's in the details, we know. It's the contamination of something, the honesty of something will live in its process, in its protocols, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Now, most of you don't know much about me personally. You don't know much about what else I do. I'm going to take a little bit of time here and introduce myself to you because most of you who listen to It's Rainmaking Time know me as the host and presenter and the producer, and I am all that, but I'm way more than that. That's a part of what I do. And even though I've interviewed, best-selling authors, heads of industry in many different industries, champions in their field, creative magnets, pioneers, visionaries, inventors, really remarkable people. Many of them are alive, and now I would say several handfuls of them have passed on. But their work should continue, and their voice should continue to be heard. So I started out many, many years ago with an absolute love and fascination for making things happen. Since I was a little girl, in my little tournament tennis life, starting at 9, but starting tennis at 7, I loved making good things happen. And that's where I got my love of rainmaking. I didn't know that what I was doing and what I was involved in was rainmaking. But I became a very developed, very skilled, very effective rainmaker if it was something that I, in my heart of hearts, wanted, if I believed in it and I made the commitment to do it. I was all in, and then it would happen. So I found myself later in life, that you don't need the whole story, at least not now, but I found myself in my mid-20s working for the owner of a telecommunications company called Concord Communications. I became involved in the Bell Canada's protocol project where they were coming into the U.S. market to revolutionize the telephone answering service industry. And at this time in my life, I fell in love with business. I fell in love with international business. I became interested in how that whole thing was coming together. What were the nuances of it? What were the dynamics of it? What was the energy of it? How did that whole thing happen and not happen? What was Concord Communications' position and vulnerability? What did Bell Canada want out of it? Their venture was called Protocol. I learned a ton and realized, sitting with my associate, who was also then my boss and my dear friend, that as we sat at Caltech Business watching inventors attempt to raise money with like 5 or 6 venture capitalists, it occurred to me that there is no space, no protocol to fund next generation solutions and discoveries for humankind. That the process, the protocols, the consciousness, the way business was done, the way ventures were funded was totally off, and that very few would ever get to the market. And what the cost would be to have financing would be the practical death of the founder, the creator, the inventor, the pioneer themselves, and it would be taken over by VC firms. And I said no. So I've been on a journey for 45 years, going all over the world to set up a way to fast track that. And lo and behold, in the year 2014, crowdfunding got its initial configuration in the United States. And not only that, the first crowdfunding, real big ventures got approved for major funding. But in fact, the SEC had their hands all over the funding in the United States and made it very limited what you could and couldn't do for big funding. So I'm not going to talk about that here, but I'm going to say to you that what I eventually found myself into for many years was bringing products to the market, helping package them, express them, communicate them, helping on every level, from pricing them, packaging them, figuring out what the customers wanted and needed, and working with other people not only to bring products to the market, to bring their work to the world, but also, while I was doing that, I found out that I was a very adept life coach, that I was a very adept and skilled personal advisor that could parlay things to people that were difficult for them to hear, but necessary for them to hear without them being insulted and offended. Although sometimes you need to be able to communicate something to help somebody grow and develop and get where they really want to go. And no matter how nice and no matter how diplomatic you are, no matter how you relay it, they're still going to be offended, or they may still not like it. But I found that I had some skills that I didn't even know, because I was so focused on the rainmaking, I didn't realize these other things that were going on with clients. So that's what I did. I did life coaching, but I never called it that. I did life advisory, and I did a lot of vision coaching, vision sessions with people to assist them in making big decisions that were very important to them at major transitions in their lives. And I loved doing it. It was a very, very high level of service. And it was all part of working with them in what it is they were about to accomplish and wanted to accomplish and were attempting to accomplish. Some were accomplishing it. And I loved it. In 2014, after doing about 300 plus shows of its Rainmaking Time, I was moving to Europe, and I was tired of doing its Rainmaking Time. I was exhausted. I couldn't figure out a way to fund it. I was tired of funding everything myself, although I did sell advertising on some things and creating voice clips for people so that they could sell their services and communicate their services well. That's a whole other area that not only I have a gift in, I know I do, but, I also have years and years, over 50 years of practice in and experience in. And I think it's different when someone offers something and provides a service that they don't have experience in and they're not initiated. It's a big deal. It's a big deal when you are transmitting expertise from the ground of experience and initiatory experience. Very different. So I want you all to know a few things about its Rainmaking Time. In the last few months, we have lost a major source of our WordPress support that we counted on and have not had access to except sporadically. We are looking for people that have expertise in WordPress. We need somebody a couple of hours a week, 2 to 3 hours a week to help us. And they don't need to be at the highest level, but they need to know enough to be able to easily do what needs to be done and not break up the site. That's number one. Number two, so we're in a very big transition, and I'm kind of excited to tell you that the Rainmaking Company, my main company, which was a mission accomplishment firm and helping other people with that, I've actually pulled back and now I'm offering life guidance services and communication, counsel, coaching, and stewardship services and webinars that I think will help more people. And so I'd like to invite you all to go to the beginning of rainmaking.com, which will transfer over to rainmaking.ch, and take a look at it. Again, it's in its very, very beginnings. We are looking for additional WordPress support. And the key with that is that person or people have to be honorable. They have to show up when they say they're going to show up. They have to be able to correct things if they make mistakes, no problem. They have to be honest. They have to be interested in our work and being part of something, even if it's just a few hours a week. And they have to be able to take feedback and do what they say they're going to do. And we require basic people skills and social decorum in all of our dealings. And so I'm very excited. Please go over and take a look at rainmaking.ch or .com. And again, it's at its very, very beginning. But in the meantime, and as we all know, that when you try to have perfection, it can often get in the way of progress. So we are in the progression side of rainmaking.com. And we're not in the perfection side. So know that it's not perfect, but it is the beginning rollout of what I'm into now. If there's any of you that would like assistance and advisory or coaching services in the area of communication, how to present anything to people. And I think if you're an It's Rainmaking Time listener, you know that I can present. It's a skill, it's a gift and a skill and a honed skill. And it's not just the presentation of which, it's the content selection and configuration and contextualization of content, that it doesn't matter whether you're writing it, whether you're speaking it, writing it, delivering it to a large audience or a small audience. It all matters. It's all important. There's nobody on earth that couldn't get coaching and advisory services in the area of communication, because we all need it all our lives. It's a never-ending thing to perfect. What else would I like to tell you? Soon I'll have some webinars out that I think that you will really not only enjoy, get great value from them. Because we're in this transition right now, I haven't figured out a date, and we're still waiting for some WordPress assistance. So if any of you are interested, please go to rainmaking.ch or .com and let us know that you're interested, or if you know somebody that's very reliable, very honorable, and very professional, we're looking. And I want to invite you all to continue to listen to It's Rainmaking Time. I will let you know who the next interview is as soon as I know. But we're going to postpone the AI subject for the late summer. I want to thank you all for being here. And I'd like to appreciate very much if you would share our work. For those of you who don't know and may not know, that we have done a piece on the Aramaic Bible from the ancient Near Eastern past. It's a 2-hour, 15-minute long-form look at how the ancient past informed both the Torah and Christianity. We did it with Rocco Errico, who's a very well-published, very well-researched author, speaker, and minister who worked with Dr. George Lamsa, who wrote the Bible and spent 30 years on it in Aramaic. I think you should hear that. If you get a chance, if it's of interest to you, I think that you'll get a lot of value out of that. What else? If those of you have not heard the interview done with the microbiome, and you would like to tune in and listen or watch that, Pioneering Microbiome Research with Dr. Sabine Hazen. She's quite a kick, and she's a go-getter. She also testified in Congress. I think it was Congress or the Senate a few months ago. definitely a pioneer, definitely a rainmaker, definitely a caring doctor. We need more of them. Put their money, time, and energy where their mouth is. For those of you who never got a chance to hear Calling in the Constitution, it's one of the most powerful conversations with Dr. Edwin Vera, who is a mastermind in this realm. You'll never meet anybody like him. There's nobody that knows the inner workings of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence the way Dr. Edwin Vera does. And I want to thank you for listening, and please stay in touch with us. Go and visit rainmaking.com, and the rainmaking courses are coming, and other types of courses that will be very relevant to who you are and what's important to you. Thank you very much. It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse, signing off.